Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So, today we are going to be talking about a book that I've recently read. And because it was December, I wanted to read a Christmas book. And I had two to choose from. And I chose this one. Now, I think that this says that it's a novel or something, but there's no way this is a novel because look at how thin it is. There's no way. But let's go ahead and read the cover and the description, and then I'll tell you what I thought about it and if I recommend it. Okay, so this is a book by Alex Haley, and it is titled A Different Kind of Christmas. It says it is a tale by the author of Roots. And let's look at the back. Now, see, part of the back is covered, so I can't read what that is. I don't know. And this isn't my book, so I don't want to, take tags off or whatever. Not that it would matter, but anyway, okay. So let's read the description on the back, and I think there is, there's a description on the inside as well. So this says, Alex Haley's Roots. Why are we talking about Roots? Alex Haley's Roots is one of the world's most beloved books. In A Different Kind of Christmas, Haley again created an unforgettable story of moral courage, spiritual inspiration, and humanity, with characters that linger in the heart long after. I can't read anymore because it's covered up. So, let's read the inside description, I guess. Okay, it says, A Different Kind of Christmas. Alex Haley? Is that how you say that name, Haley? Haley? I don't know. This is a very special novel. Yeah, that's why I thought it was a novel. I'm like, how can this be a novel? Okay, I would consider it like a short story, not a novel. This is a very special novel that sparkles with the same memorable writing that made Roots an American classic. I've never read Roots, so I don't know. This is the story of Fletcher Randall, a 19-year-old from North Carolina whose politically powerful father is a plantation owner. Oh no. And of course, a slave owner. Yikes. The time is 1855, and all Fletcher Randall knows and believes about slavery he learned from his father. So you know that ain't good. But Fletcher goes to school up north, and one or two of his Princeton classmates talk about how wrong slavery is, until Fletcher begins to think for himself, and he becomes a traitor to his background, to his family, by conspiring to aid in a mass escape of slaves on the Underground Railroad. His partner in this plan is a black slave by the name of Harpin John, a man who plays the harmonica so sweetly it could make a grown man cry. Christmas Eve is the secret date for the escape. How these two men of such incredibly opposing backgrounds join together to achieve the goal of freedom makes A Different Kind of Christmas soar with unforgettable inspiration. This is a timeless tale of spiritual regeneration, moral courage, and powerful humanness, meaningful and memorable. to readers of all faiths and all ages. Okay, so I remember when I did my ASMR book haul back in November, I did read this description. But then time passed and I forgot. I didn't read the description again before I read the book, and I'm glad I didn't, because it straight up tells you he's going to be working with a slave. But when I read the book, I had no idea. I just knew that he was going to be part of some type of, slave escape plan or something, but I didn't remember the details. So I'm really glad that I didn't read the description, because to me, that would have kind of ruined the story. Because when I got to the part where you found out who was going to be helping him, and you're like, oh my god, it's another slave. Another slave. Not like he's a slave. That's not what I meant. Oh my god, it's a slave that's helping him. What? Like, it was crazy. Okay, so this book is about this guy, Fletcher, and he is very young, and he goes to some big university, I don't know, Harvard or Yale or something, I don't know, it doesn't matter, it's one of those, big ones. And he is not doing well at school. He doesn't like the people up north because he was raised in the south. And during this time, people up north and the people down south have very different... There's a loud plane or truck going by, I'm sorry. They have very different beliefs. But up north, I found this out during this book, but then, I did my own research, and it was so interesting because I was sitting at the dinner table and I was talking about this book, and my son, who's 10, was like, we're learning about slavery and stuff, and I was like, what, really? And then my daughter chimed in, and she's in a completely different grade, and she's like, I'm learning about this and that or whatever, and we actually were able to have an intelligent conversation about slavery in this time frame with a 10 and a 12-year-old. It was really cool. Anyway, but and I can't remember now because I'm just awful about remembering things, but at this time, 1855, slavery was not a thing up north, and in one of the states, I can't remember, one of the states, slavery had been outlawed for almost 100 years at this time. What? What do you mean? Okay, so yeah, up north is very different than down south, where slavery is in full mode, so he does not get along with the people up north because those darn Yankees. I don't know. That's what they say a lot in this book. And he keeps wanting to move dorm rooms, and he's like, I want my own room. Like, his parents paid for him to have his own room so that he wouldn't have to board with the terrible Yankees, So he keeps moving though because he's being bothered, and I don't know. Anyway, so he moves again, and the dean is like, you're not moving again, if there's a problem, it's not with the people here, it's with you, basically. But anyway, so he meets these new people in his new dorm, and he's like, just put up with them because I can't move again. What's up with this plane? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So there are these, I don't know if I think they're three brothers or whatever. They're basically intruding, and they're like, you're gonna be forced to be our friend. We don't care what you say. And over, I don't know, it's either summer break or something. You're gonna come home with us because we're really cool. and you're just gonna do what we say. Because Fletcher is in like this 3-year program or something where he can graduate sooner if he does summer classes, but there's still time off during the summer. So he's like, fine, alright, whatever. So he goes. And I don't know if it's like on this trip or right before the trip he finds out these brothers are Quakers. Oh no. Which is apparently like a really bad thing for Southerners to be around. Which you find out that Quakers are amazing. They're the ones who, you know, basically were the first people to speak up for slaves. Like, way before 1855, you know? So, to a Southerner, Quakers are just, the devil or something. I don't know. So he's going on this trip, and it takes 6 days. I don't remember where they're from, but there's, you know, no cars and stuff, so it's by, what do they call it, like a buggy? It's like a horse and carriage type thing. So they're traveling. They get to, I think it's Pennsylvania, something like that. They get to Pennsylvania, and they get to town or whatever, and they're like, we have to make a few stops before we get to our house. Is that cool? You know, we want to introduce you to some people. And this is when the anger rises up inside of me, because they go into town, and he's looking around, and there's black people just walking around like, you know, they're just normal people. See what I mean? Rage. Like, what are you talking about? But he was kind of like put aback, because how dare these people just walk around, you know, acting all high and mighty. That's what was said in here, like, who do they think they are, you know? But you have to remember that he's from the South, so, you know, he's used to seeing black people walk around, like, terrified all the time and belittled. So this is brand new for him. But he tries to, you know, remain calm. And then they stop in front of this, I don't know what kind of store. Let's say it's a country store or something. And he's like, I gotta go talk to one of the brothers. Is like, I gotta go inside, talk to the owner for a bit. I'll be right back. So he comes back, and he has this black man with him who turns out to be the owner of the shop. And Fletcher is just like, what do you mean he's the owner? In his brain, he's got all these thoughts going on. And the owner walks up to Fletcher and just grabs his hands and shakes it, you know, like a normal person. And Fletcher is literally like disgusted by this. And in his mind, he's talking about how this man, I have to tell you this because it just fully enraged me. And I'm like, I can't believe people, I feel like some people still think this way, which is like, what the hell? But this man grabbed his hand and shook it. You know, the gentlemanly thing to do, right? And so Fletcher shakes it, but he's like, what the hell? And in his brain, he's like dying, because he's like, how dare this person, he didn't call him a person, but how dare this person soil my hand? Like, ugh. He's just completely disgusted. And he lets go and puts his hand in his pocket, because he's like, he doesn't want that hand to touch anything else and stuff. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Because I'm like, what the hell? Because he's been traveling on the road for like 6 days or something. If anybody's hand is soiled, it's you, okay? It's you. Whatever. Okay, so that's just the vibe that is set when he gets to this town, and they take him, they like slowly go by this like rally or whatever, and there's a bunch of, you know, white people and black people, and they get out to listen, and it is a rally for the Underground Railroad, and in support of it, you know, and he is just floored, just like, oh my gosh, full disgust. Like, he can't believe this. He will never talk to these people again, and like, blah, blah, blah. So he's trying to remain calm and not be rude, but on the inside, he is just dying. So he goes to this family home, and they all try and talk to him about, things. They don't try and like force him to be their way, but they're showing him a different way of thinking, and he is just not about that life. So he ends up going home, and he vows, I'm never going to talk to these people again. I'm never going to visit their family home again. Like, no. But they took him in and treated him like family. Well, over, like, I don't know, the next few months or whatever, he starts thinking about things, and he starts doing his own research at the library, and just, he's starting to think, something's not right here, and then he decides, you know what, I'm gonna go back to Philadelphia, but I'm gonna go on my own. I need to see things on my own for myself, and so he goes back, and his eyes are opened even more, and then he realizes, wow, I think I'm in the wrong, but he feels weird about it, because he's only believed, one way his whole life, and now this door has been opened, and it's like, once you open the door, you can't close it, and he's struggling with his emotions, and his thoughts, and his family, and his traditions, and the people he grew up with, and stuff like that, I don't know, he's just having a difficult time. But then he decides, I want to do something about this, so he ends up, through like a professor or something, he ends up figuring out a way to get in contact with the people who run the Underground Railroad up north, and they're like, what the hell, because they know who he is, because his father is like a senator or a congressman or something, I don't know, he's somebody real important, and so when the Underground Railroad people find out who he is, they're like, what do you mean this guy wants to help us? They think it's a trap at first, and then they realize it's not a trap, and they're like, wow, because his father owns like one of the largest plantations in the South. So to them, they've just hit the gold mine, So they give him a plan. They're like, okay, we know that you're new, but we want to have more escape. We have this plan, but we don't write anything down, so you need to memorize the plan. They tell him the plan, and they're like, all right, when you go down for Christmas holiday, it's gotta go down at Christmas, and you're going to meet someone who is part of this plan. They will know who you are, but you will not know who they are until they are ready to expose themselves to you, I guess. We'll let you in on who they are. Like, it's gotta be all hush hush top secret, So he's going down to visit his parents for Christmas holiday, and he has no idea what's going on, So he's just gonna have to live his life until the person is like, hey, it's me, because they've got like some code where it's like the person is gonna say, you're my brother, am I yours, So they go down, and he has no idea. He's got no idea, but he is learning stuff about the plantation, and his parents love this. They're like, wow, he's matured, he wants to know everything, except we all know that he wants to know everything for a reason. But anyway, I'm not giving it away because it's already been given away, but at one point there's this slave that has been traveling with him and like, taking him places and stuff, and then there's just one moment where he kind of like walks up to me and is like, you're my brother, am I yours? And he's just floored, and so am I, because I had completely forgotten, that it was going to be a slave that's going to be helping him. And I was just like, oh, what? And he was floored. He was like, because what? Anyway, so him and Harpin John, I think that's his name, Fletcher, and yeah, Harpin John. They start making plans for helping all these people. But this book feels very real, so to me, I'm like, in reality, things never go as planned, right? And here we go, things don't go as planned. Things get scary, and it's like, I would be, anytime I read a book that has anything to do with slavery or plantations or anything like that, it's like real scary to me. To me, that is a horror novel, that type of thing, because it's scary, and I got scared. I got real scared. I don't want to say anything else about the book because I don't want to give anything away. But it is a very good book. I wouldn't call this a novel. I would call it a short story because it's also a very quick read. Very quick. Because you just want to know what's going on. One thing that I will say is I wanted more. I think this is a good book, yes. I think it could have been great. But it felt very rushed. And I didn't like that. It's so short. It's so short. Like, how many pages is it? It's 101 pages. How is that a novel? I don't think so. It's a short story, okay? But I feel like this could have been like the rough draft to the real novel, like I wanted more. I wanted more detail, more background. And I feel like they could make this into like a miniseries. This would be a fantastic miniseries, like Netflix, Amazon, somebody, because that would be great. Maybe they have made it into a miniseries or a movie or something, but I've never heard of it. Now I'm gonna have to go look that up. It would just be really, really good. And yeah, it is a different kind of Christmas, and oh man, it is a hard for obvious reasons, but it's good. But I wanted more. This could have been great. It could have been great. But it's because it was so short that it was only good, like I do recommend. I recommend it so much. Like it's really good, but it's not great. It could have been great if it was longer. I don't know. That's the only negative thing that I have to say about it, is it wasn't long enough. It wasn't detailed, and it felt rushed. I didn't like that. I wanted it to last longer, because it was good. It was good. And where they left it, which it did end good, but where they left it, it's like, well, what about, is there a part 2 to this? Because you left me hanging. What happened with this person? What happened to that person? What happened to this? What happened to this family? Like, I have so many questions, and I don't like that. But maybe they did that because when this did really happen, like, I don't think this is a true story, although it could be, but when people did escape, you never knew what happened, because the people who were involved in the Underground Railroad, they were involved in one part, because there were so many people involved, so many different moving parts, that they could only do one thing and have this amount of information. So if they were caught or arrested or whatever, they couldn't rat anyone else out because they didn't have that information. So maybe that's why it was like that. Maybe it was done that way on purpose, because that's how it was in real life. You never knew. You never knew. Oh, and I hate that. That's the second thing I don't like about that. But if you like historical fiction or historical nonfiction, because this could pretty be nonfiction, okay? All nonfiction is, there's some truth, you know? But this story could have actually really happened. But if you're a fan of historical fiction, read it. It doesn't even have to be Christmas, and you would enjoy this book, like, for real. But I'm really glad that I read it, because it's good. It's good. Anyway, so I really hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.